Welcome to our program on Kardec Radio.
Hello, everybody. Good to see you again. And we are here today from France, from Romania, from UK, from Ireland. It's good to have you here with us. So it's 9 p.m. in Ireland and in UK. So today we will keep going on our talk. And the topic of today is, let me put it here. What if the death is not the end? But we will focus more on letters from beyond. And this is a great opportunity because we will see some real cases where this automatic writing works. But before we open the mic from Nadja, let's do a kind of summary what we have studied or we have talked about last 2 weeks. So we do have I already fixed the echo. Yeah, so it's okay now. Thank you for letting me know, and I think it's right now. So from previous week, our first show we talk about, do we have a soul? And the topics we needed to keep in our mind is, soul is the spirit incarnated, the physical and material body. So soul and spirits are the same thing. What's differentiate one to another is where they are. Spirit is where it is when they are in the spiritual world, and soul when it is incarnated and attached to a material body. Okay, so spirits are nothing but the souls of men stripped of their envelope of gross terrestrial matter. This is in Medium's book, chapter 1. Also, we explore a little bit about the manifesto for post-material science. And last week, we started this series of what if that is not the end, near-death experiences. So we could see scientists are now investigating what is beyond of the material body. A lot of research, a lot of scholars already studying it. So also they say, we talk about terminal lucidity, and that visitors, our conscious is not a secretion of our brain, but from a non-material source. Negative experiences, suicide is not the solution. So in these 2 weeks, we have seen a lot of context, and I really encourage you to Google it, and you will see Dr. Peter Fenwick, Dr. Ian Stevenson, also a lot of interviews our Dr. Vanessa Celoni, she did here on Kardec Radio, and you can see a lot of material, a lot of scholars talking about near-death experiences, and this is a great way how you can get familiarized with this context. So, and today, Letters of Beyond, Nadja will start to give some introduction for you, what we have prepared for you today. Okay, Nadja, welcome, my dear.
Hello, everybody. Yes, well, you can put the next slide, please. So I'm going to start with a statement from Dr. Jeffrey Rediger. He's a psychiatrist, medical director from a hospital in the US, also professor in the Medical University of Harvard. And he, on an interview, in October 2020, not long ago, he stated that some quantum physicists say that the material world doesn't exist. And he emphasized it does not exist, at least not the way we think it does. So he goes together with the post-materialist scientists who are now investigating and promoting the existence of the consciousness apart from the body. So the body, the mind, the brain is separated from the consciousness. Next, please. So the next slide, I'm talking about Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. So in 1917, he is also a doctor, physician, and the author, the creator of Sherlock Holmes. He was talking already about spirituality. So in this comment in one of the weekly magazines, in London Spiritualist weekly magazine called Light, he mentioned that in spite of occasional fraud and wild imaginings, there remains a solid core in this whole spiritual movement, the Spiritism, or the spiritual movement, which is infinitely nearer to positive proof than any other religious development with which I am acquainted. So he's talking about life after death, so the spiritual world. And then in another paragraph, he mentions many ways have been devised, all imperfect, but some of them wonderfully and fitfully successful. Clairvoyance, the ability of seeing spirits; clairaudience, hearing the spirits; the direct voice; automatic writing, that we call sometimes psychography; spirit control or possession. These are the various methods of communication between the spirits and men, all depending upon that inexplicable thing so sacred and sometimes so abused. He was talking about mediumship. So what is mediumship or mediunity? It's the ability or alleged ability to communicate with spirits, with the deceased personalities, some family members, sometimes unknown spirits, or friends, or highly evolved spirits, sometimes not so evolved spirits. It happens all over the world, in all cultures, in religious or non-religious settings or contexts. And it's a dualist hypothesis that consciousness survives after death of the physical body. So I'm going to show you briefly some research in mediumship. I'm not going to discuss any article in deep, because this is not the aim here. If you want some information, you can ask us through the chat box, in the chat box, right? Ask us the authors, the contact email from those authors that are known to us, also famous in the spiritual research area in Brazil. So you can put the next, please. The first, the scientific investigations also since the 19th century until now, these are the names of some famous scientists, Marie Curie and other researchers, Ian Stevenson, William Crookes. They all scientists investigating the mind and the relation between mind and body, and mind and brain, reincarnation, near-death experiences, and mediumship. Next, please. And you can put the screen bigger, because I need to read the titles. I can. I'm seeing myself more than it. Thank you very much. That's much better. Thank you. So, yeah, the first article was recently published in January this year. It's about the Corpus Callosum size hypnotic susceptibility and empathy in women with alleged mediumship. So in this study, they used MRI scans to measure the size of the corpus callosum. What's the corpus callosum? It's a part of our brain that connects the two hemispheres. So it's important for the coordination skills, language skills, ability of taking in complex tasks, information, speaking, physical coordination as well. So in these studies, there were 16 women mediums and 16 non-mediums, all healthy women. And I'm sorry if you're hearing my dogs. And they had in the studies the normal size of the corpus callosum. So what does it mean? That the mediums have normal anatomy, which shows that in patients with psychosis or dissociative disorders, the corpus callosum is abnormal. Also, abnormality of the corpus callosum is related to lack of empathy. And in this study, they showed that the empathy scores are positively related to the spiritual experiences and hypnotic susceptibility. So the medium ladies, women from these studies, they were all healthy and more empathic as well. And can you put the next, please? This is an article about an empirical investigation of alleged mediumistic writing, so the automatic writing or psychography. In 2019, the researchers analyzed 13 letters for its accuracy made by Chico Xavier. So Chico Xavier was our most famous and most important medium in Brazil. He was very humble person. He wrote almost more than 460 books through automatic writing, thousands and thousands of letters and messages from spirits under mediumistic trance. But he was from an illiterate family, very poor family, and his level of scholarity was up to the 4th grade. So at the age of 8, he had to stop studying and go work to help providing for his family. So how could someone that had not so high level of education could write 490 books? No? 400. I know that it's over 450 books. Some say 490 books, and with just automatic writing and psychography. He never got any money from the sales of these books. All the money was going to charity. So this is the objective of the letter, he said, was to bring comfort, to offer consolation to the bereaved families. So this study showed that the 13 letters from one deceased person from the 1970 had 99 items of verifiable information. So 98% was clear and precise information. There was no false information. So all that was written in those letters was confirmed by the family, by the mother, the sister, the only sibling, and uncles and 2 cousins were interviewed for this study. And they said that there were some informations that not even the family knew, like the father had suicidal thoughts, and the boy who died in the 1970s at the age of 18 in a train crash, he mentioned he tried to support his father and encourage his father to go back to work, to stop, crying for him, because life goes on. So he comforted the family, showing that life goes on. Chico Xavier, in 70 years of mediumship, was never convicted. There was never any evidence of fraud against Chico Xavier. That's the difference between the fraudulent letters and messages and a real serious medium, that everybody needs to be aware of the information in those letters and the content of those letters, and they bring consolation and comfort, and not they don't cause any doubt in the family who is receiving these letters from the beyond. Next, I was going to change here the slide. In São Paulo, in the Medical Spiritist Association, from 1975 to 1990, we started analyzing 45 letters using scientific methodology. So doctors, scientists were analyzing the veracity, the authenticity of these letters and the information. And in 2012, Dr. Luchetti, Giancarlo Luchetti, revised 38 of them. And next slide, please. And they showed that accuracy was with over 6 proven facts in those messages was 62%. So there was also in this letter, there was no false information. Next, please. The other study is going to be about neuroimaging. So doctors from the Netherlands, Germany, and Brazil, using neuroimaging functional MRI, they investigate the functional neurocorrelates in mediumistic trance compared to a resting phase. So the study show activation of the occipital and temporal areas of the brain related to visual and auditory stimuli. So these areas were activated in the mediums. These studies, they contribute to clinical psychiatry, neuroscience, neuroimaging, and help to better understand the mental disorders and help with the treatment of these mental disorders as well. And next, please. The fourth one is also about neuroimaging, but from 2012, using single photon emission CT, also from a group of doctors and scientists or neuroscientists in the US, and they were measuring the cerebral blood flow during psychography. So during automatic writing, the mediums were evaluated, analyzed, and had CT imagings, and also when they were just writing, like if I were writing now. Why writing? Because writing skills involves a complex brain activation. To write, we need coordination, we need language skills, we need thoughts, we need creativity. It's a very complex brain activation, as I said before, because you need to involve many parts of the brain. And in this study, it's a very interesting, complex study, difficult study. For me, I'm not a scientist or neuroscientist, but it was very interesting to see that the most experienced mediums showed lower levels of activity in parts of the brain, in these parts of the brain that involves the writing. And what is interesting is that damage or hypoperfusion of these brain areas, analyzing the studies, they are related to impaired writing. So how can damage or hypoperfusion, so less blood flow in these areas that cause impaired writing, and these mediums be also with low levels of activity, but they were writing, they were, psychographing letters and without any problems. So this also needs further studies when there is a huge necessity to increase studies in neuroscience and mediumistic and spirituality, to help us understand the correlation between mind and consciousness and the brain. Next is study, is an article that is not involving neuroscience or neurophysiology. It's about psychotherapy. So should psychotherapy consider reincarnation? The author mentions the World Values Survey, which showed that almost a third of the population of the world that answered the survey believes in life after death, in reincarnation. So psychotherapists should not ignore these beliefs and the significant number of people, because believing in life after death, it plays a role in coping mechanisms, gives hope, brings comfort, reduces anxiety and stress. It improves quality of life, helps in grief, and there is increased adherence in treatment when the psychotherapist or psychologist shows that the knowing and the value of the patient's beliefs. In this article, the author also mentioned the past life regression therapies. So there are many pseudo-analysts, psychotherapists that want fame and fortune and write books and want to be, in the media. And it's very important to know the difference between a good therapist, psychologist, psychotherapist, psychiatrist that has a training in past life regression, past life therapy, because it's an important tool for treatment, and those who are doing this just for curiosity. So he saw also in 2012, this article is from 2012, he mentioned that there was a need for using questionnaire during consultations with patients about the patient's beliefs and religiosity, spirituality. And in 2016, the World Psychiatry Association released a position statement on spirituality and religion with those questionnaires. So they say that the psychiatrists have to ask patients about their religiosity and spirituality, and also emphasize the need for research, studies, and clinical training, because for us doctors, it's a delicate way of asking. We need to have a special training, but we need to have that empathy to ask the patient about their beliefs and how important their beliefs is. And this helps to continue like the adherence to treatment and to take medication. So it's changing in the world of psychiatry and in psychology, the vision of spirituality now. The last article is from 2011. It's about the complementary therapies in spiritist therapies. So they done a systematic review of scientific evidence. So they searched scientific evidence about energy healing, magnetized water, prayer, and how this impacts the patients, people's lives. No? And this systematic review showed the importance of spirituality in our health. So magnetized water fluidotherapy is something that needs further investigation, further research. At that time, in 2011, there was not so much information about it. And also talking about it, it was done 10 years ago. So now, if you go to PubMed, you can find over 1,000 research and papers about meditation, energy healing, acupuncture, mindfulness, and spirituality, all complementary therapies that have an impact on well-being and quality of life. So to summarize a little bit, I want to say that there is much more out there that needs serious investigations. The scientists and the population and the doctors, they need to get rid of their prejudice and their strong beliefs. They need to be less materialist, reductionist, and more open-minded to help their patients, to help the public to understand. Because what scientists in Brazil say is that there is not so much support from the scientific group in approving research in spirituality. So when we get these strong beliefs and this prejudice away from the science, from science, then we can get better results from this scientific therapies. As the post-materialist science group that we mentioned on our first week of talks, and they say that science is non-dogmatic, is open-minded, is experimental, is not committed to any dogma or ideology. So if we are open, we have better research and better results. The importance of fraud also has the difference between serious mediums and those who want money. So serious mediums won't ask for any money. They won't ask for any financial exchange. That's a big difference from those who you have to have a doubt of their authenticity. And that the letters showed, and also the studies showed that death is not the end. I have a letter that a friend gave to me. She sent me photos of her of the letter of her mom. You can put it, yes. So this is one recent letter. So her mom died on 1st of May 2017. And she received this letter. There were 7 pages. I just put you so you can have a look and have an idea how it looks like. She received 2 months later, this letter. And I will translate to you because it's in Portuguese. So continuation of the other page is saying, our sister was very well spiritually supported. And this happened also at the moment of her disembodiment. So the death of the body. And in peace and balance and security. She got to our plane of light, or our place of light and life. The next page on the right. How important it is. And this way, with full faith and hope in the certainty that life goes on, and that those who love each other are always together. Let's wait as much as possible without opening the doors to sadness. So it's a very comforting for a daughter who lost her mom, lost physically, but know that she is well. She's sending messages 2 months after the death of her physical body. So this is very comforting and reassuring. And we have the letter from, this is not from Chico Xavier, okay, because Chico Xavier died before. This is automatic writing and graphology from studies from the Chico Xavier's letter, showing that he was writing the original one letter of this lady, Hilda, on your left, and on the right was the psychography, the automatic writing. So he wrote in Italian. He barely could write in Portuguese, so he wrote in Italian. And if you see the signature, it's the same. It's very similar to the original. And also there, she mentioned on her letter when she was alive, Salvatore, Papa Salvatore at the bottom left. And on the right letter, she says Amato Salvatore. So also the same name. So how can he know this? So this is very reassuring that the letters were from this person who died, but she proved that she is not dead after the death of her body, so that she lives in the spiritual plane. And that's all from me. I think the last slide is from the next week. The next week there will be a symposium about mediumship, and there will be advanced mediumship research. So if you want to take part next week, there will be 3 articles from Brazilians. So this symposium, there will be people from India, Italy, France, South Africa, and Brazilians. And there are 3 articles. One of them will be called Mediumistic Writings as Evidence of Survival of Consciousness. So it will be a very interesting symposium. So that's all for me. Thank you very much for your attention. And I'm sorry if I spoke too much and you're already sleeping after. I hope you enjoy it.
Thank you, Nadja. Thank you very much. Yes, it's important to show to everyone how we can handle these automatic writing. It's not something we need to exclusive to spiritism. So it belongs to the world. You know what I mean? Yeah. So following our our schedule here, our dear Elsa will also give to us some important automatic writing. But before this, Charles, you are too quiet today, my friend. What's your view about this automatic writing?
Yes, thank you very much, Nadja, for this outstanding presentation and with all these facts. Clearly, I mean, you told it completely. There are proofs of identities. The mediums sometimes they write things that they totally ignore, that even everyone in the room where they are totally ignoring. So it cannot be telepathy or things like that. And sometimes also they get information that was only known by the deceased person. For instance, when they were hiding something somewhere and did not tell to anyone, and then after their death they reveal it, and it's getting true. I mean, such things happened several times, and so we have strong evidences of the survival of the personality of the person itself. And you showed that very well. And these letters from Chico Xavier, I would just like to add, there is a movie done in terms of this, which is The Mothers of Chico Xavier. And it is showing the huge effect, some mothers who lost their son and they were absolutely inconsolable and depressed and whatever. And after getting meeting Chico Xavier and getting a letter from their beloved, they changed completely. I mean, it helped them a lot to overcome this terrible proof. So, as you told also very well in the second part of your talk, it's showing now evidences of the benefits that such knowledge and such letters can have on the health of persons. Thank you so much, Nadja.
Yeah, thank you, Nadja. Thank you very much. And we can see, we know many stories where people try to give money to Chico Xavier and Divaldo, all these guys to write a letter from their beloved ones, and they can say, no, sorry, I can't do it. No, we need to respect their will. Now, so Elsa, my dear, let me.
First, I would like to point that Nadja mentioned the researches from Dr. Julio Perez regarding psychology and reincarnation. So this is something very nice indeed that should be used as the psychologists that they are spiritists. They know the importance to know about reincarnation, that the traumas that you are having now could be from the past lives or in a reincarnation before or far from, and can help a lot to help the patient, the person, to recover from their traumas and to understand that the life goes on. Everything there is a support from the spiritual side, because first we are spirits. So we die tomorrow, I die more, but I continue in thinking, in acting, and doing things, good or bad, on the other side. And I can communicate with my beloved ones and say, okay, I'm here, I'm living, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I love you. And consoling letters from beyond is a very nice thing. But a case that I want to bring here now, that is happening in 2004, and Charlie was there, because Charlie was beside Roger Perret, reading this message that Leon Denis, in the spiritual world, was dictating through Divaldo Franco in psychographic way. But not only that, Divaldo Franco is a very good medium, is an authentic medium. He wrote the letter, mirrored the letter. In the letter, you only can see the letter or read the letter, the message, if you use a mirror or you put the photo on your computer and turn on the opposite side. Is there something very important? So I'd like, because Charlie was there, was reading, so I'd like Charlie to comment, if you want to comment, explaining better how this thing happened in front of 1,800 people in a congress in Paris, 2004, the fourth Congress, Worldwide Congress, Spiritist Congress. That was amazing. Why something was happening on one side, Divaldo was receiving this beautiful message talking about Kardec that Leon Denis gave in the birthday of 200 years of Kardec's birthday. Right? So, Charles, would you like to comment before I go to the next one?
Yes, sure. I mean, as you can see, it was written from the right to left instead of left to right. And Divaldo, who is Brazilian, the message was written in French. So these are the two characteristics of this phenomenon: specular, from right to left, and directly in French as original language. And is this, as you told, Elsa, in front of 2,000 people which were in the Congress. So it is also, I'd say, showing the strength of the mediumship of Divaldo Franco to get such a phenomenon. And when he commented, it came to him totally mechanical. I mean, he had absolutely no notion of what he was writing at the moment he received it. So these are the modus operandi of the message you can see on the screen.
Exactly. Very nice indeed. And also, as Nadja mentioned before, Chico Xavier, here in the United Kingdom, we published it. The next slide, Steve. Published a book, a biography. The writer was Guy Leon Prefer, our friend, We worked together 4 months to produce this book because Guy lived in Brazil and met Chico Xavier, and I was amazed with the mediumship of Chico Xavier, ostensive mediumship, writing in Italian, as Nadja showed before, in German, in Russian, in Greek, in French, because the spirits dictate, and the medium, as a mechanic, as a somnambulist, he can pass the message, whatever the message is, and goes to the person that wants to receive this message or was entitled to receive the message. Chico Xavier, Dr. Stanley Kipling, he said, Chico Xavier is the medium of all centuries. When he received this book, because the book is Chico Xavier, medium of the century. And he said it's the all centuries because Chico Xavier is an amazing medium. And by 1973, he had received the work of almost 500 different spirits, different discarnate authors in books and messages. The books now is more or less 550 books, automatic writing. He didn't receive 1 penny for these books, £1 for all these books. The total of the books were donated to charities in Brazil and other places. Totally in the state of trance, totally mediumship. So I met Chico Xavier in 1997. Can you put the next slide? And he was a humble person. Was a different way to approach with Chico Xavier because his aura, his energy, make people cry, totally immersed in light and peace. And Chico Xavier, without me asking anything to him, he said something that changed my life. So after that, 2 months later, I was living in London, and I'm still here, nearly 24 years now. And Chico Xavier, for me, is a blessed person, a blessed spirit that is still working and helping from the other side. And a case that I want to show you now is Janet Duncan. When Janet Duncan lived in Brazil, she had a time that she went to see Chico Xavier. Once she was there, because she didn't know who was Chico, why I have to go to Chico, but a spirit in the Spirit Center in São Paulo said to Janet, you should go and visit Chico Xavier. Who is Chico Xavier? The spirit said, go there and you will see. So she went there to Beraba, and when it was her time to meet Chico, to talk to Chico asked her, what's your name? She said, Janet Duncan. Okay. He asked it again, what's your name? She said, Janet Duncan. So he took a piece of paper and wrote, Jean Annette Duncan. This is your name? She said, yes. How do you know my name? She was more or less embarrassed because usually people know Janet as Janet Duncan, but it's not her true name. Her name is Jean Annette Duncan. So after that, of course, she talked with him. He said amazing things to her, and she returned to England, to United Kingdom, and started translating the Gospel according to Spiritism. That is the only book that was translated into English, and she did this nice and beautiful job that we have now, of course, published here in the UK by our federation. That these things are amazing that it happens with the people that are around Chico, and it's proved to us that the life goes on. That is a communication beyond that we don't know how to do it, but mediums that are really true mediums, especially the ones that are dedicated to help others, consulting letters in spirituality, spiritists say these messages. We help each other, and especially specialized in automatic writing, some mediums have this job free of charge in Brazil, especially to help mothers. As we have the film Mothers of Chico Xavier, that is easy for you to see. I think it's in YouTube, and you can really learn this beautiful way to consoling the children or parents or relatives that stay here, and our beloved ones are there. That is amazing. That is my part to say something to collaborate with this beautiful research that Nadja had done, and is here and free for everyone to continue watching when we finish. We are nearly more or less. Now we have time to. So now we have any question, Stevan?
Let me see, Elsa. Thank you very much. Well, no questions so far, but while people have some courage to write something to us, it's good to understand that this automatic writing is a phenomena not just from this century. It's everybody here may have know about Allan Kardec, and most of the messages, I think all the messages necessarily he received it through automatic writing, and sometimes the letter was inside a drawer closed with lock, or sometimes in a basket, so with no interaction of any human being. So this is not new. We're talking about 1850 something, 1856, 1858. So all these messages, it was given to Allan Kardec, and he could codify the Gospel According to Spiritism, which is the book Janet Duncan translated to us from French into English, and also other books like Genesis, Heaven, Hell, and the Spirit's book. So, do you have any other interesting topic in France, Faris, about automatic writing?
Yes, I mean this was really how everything started. Huh? It was, as you told, 1855 or even a little bit before. Huh? The table moving, and then they had a kind of a basket with a pen on it, and then they changed the medium, taking directly the pen in his hand, huh? And that is how all these teachings in the Spirit's book, for instance, have been received. Huh? And again, I mean, some you can think, okay, it's coming from the subconscious or the unconscious of the medium, but sometimes it's the content of what he gets is far, far, far beyond his knowledge and his capacity. Sometimes it comes in language that he doesn't know. It has absolutely no clue. For instance, ancient Greek or other type of languages, it's how to say, there are so many phenomenon, and then of course it has been studied, as you told, at the end of the 19th century. In particular, also in UK and in United States, you had, for instance, a Society for Psychical Research with Frederick Myers, Podmore, Gurney, all these guys. They have published a lot of proceedings and articles describing all the precautions they have taken and so on. And I would say the most famous phenomenon of automatic writing has started after the death of Frederick Myers. And he, from the spiritual world, organized a phenomenon that they didn't even think about when he was incarnated. He used 3 different mediums, and each medium received I mean, one was in United States, the other one in UK, the other one in Australia, you see. And at that time, there was no telephone, no internet, nothing. And each of the medium received parts of automatic writing that was difficult to understand as such, as just analyzing them isolated. And they got also the instruction, please send this writing to this address. And the medium that was living in Australia didn't know absolutely, the people never visited UK, they had no clue of what was happening in this address. And then when they received all these messages in the SPR in London, they have seen that putting the messages together, then you get something full, consistent, seamless, perfect, and also showing, giving proof of identities of Frederick Myers himself. So it's another phenomenon that is showing evidences that first, survival of the soul after what we call death, and the individuality, and second, communicability of the souls with the humans through some persons who have this mediumnic facility. So this is how to say the phenomenon itself. But then, as we have also very well seen, there is also what can you say and give to a mother or a father who lost his son? I mean, it's the movie is showing this very nicely, and this moral effect, therapeutic effect, helping the widows and to overcome this difficult trial in their life, and it is incomparable strength.
Yeah.
So I think these two aspects alone justify all these researches that have been done, showing that if you compare with random and check all the information that the medium are bringing, I mean, with all the modern protocols that they are using, clearly also evidence that there is no trick, nothing. There is something coming. Some scientists would say from the vacuum, but from outside of the material world, outside of the 4 dimensions, space and time.
Thank you,
And
Sean.
I just want to mention one thing, that's the Chico Xavier wrote a series of books from André Luiz. André Luiz was the spirit of doctor in Brazil, and a lot of medical information in the 1950 when he wrote the book, they are now being proved. For example, the pineal gland, the function of the pineal gland, that's at that time nobody knew why this why we had pineal gland, the hypophysis in the brain. So now there are many studies proving the relation between the hormones, the controlling. It's a gland, a small gland that basically controls other glands and also release the melatonin hormone. So how could Chico Xavier know about it in the 1950s? So, and there are much more information. So that's there are things that the science needs to take a look at more in deep to help understand the spiritual world, and then everybody will be feeling a little bit better, knowing that there is something else out there.
Yeah, Nadja, and a question.
Can I make an invitation? Because each 2 years we organize here in the UK Medical Spiritist Congress, or we can say the British Congress on Medicine and Spirituality. So the doctors, they know about the life beyond and the life goes on. The talks regarding these books, André Luiz collection, especially the books that Evolution in Two Worlds, they are totally scientific. As Nadja mentioned, amazing things in this still in Brazil, the spiritist doctor, and using these books in comparison with the medicine today. This is a very nice thing that will happen in May, 22nd of May. I hope everyone can watch it online. It will be a free congress with doctors and researchers organized in a beautiful day. So I hope you all be invited and be together with us. Okay?
Yeah.
And this is very important that we carry on. Because the life goes on. The life goes on. That is for sure. Arthur Conan Doyle, he traveled all over the world, spreading for at least half a million people listen about the life after death. So Arthur Conan Doyle was a researcher as well that mentioned the Nadja. So make sure that you can research and see more, because knowing that the life goes on help people not to think about suicide. Because if their life continuing, people still suffering there as well. And more than ever that we have here, the suicidal people still suffer a lot after commit the suicide.
Okay. And to wrap up here, because we just have 4 minutes, a quick question here. We have seen, this question is for you, Nadja, because, yeah, you're on the spot today. We have seen, for example, in the movie that Charles mentioned, a judge accept a letter from writing from psychographed by Chico Xavier as a proof for a prosecution case. Okay. Then, as you mentioned, we do have doctors proving what André Luiz said and Chico Xavier wrote to the books in the 50s. How do you see these books that Chico Xavier wrote in the future of the science of medicine?
I think the books, they contain huge information that can lead to other investigations. So they have basic information that at that time in the 50s, 1950s, they were all crazy ideas because they didn't think about it. But then now we are investigating it, and then we are finding more and more information complementing all of this. So I think that they are just like a trampoline, so to the new science,
yeah.
You know, in using spirituality as a tool for further studies, for further research, and with the technology also evolving, I think we have this facility, because at that time there was no functional MRI or PET scans or anything like that, and now we have. So now we can see that the anatomy of the brain, the blood flow, is the same, is it? And they are normal. That mediums have normal or even better, healthier life than non-mediums. So I think what is written in those books, they are, as I said, like a trampoline. So they are just like a phase, and we are evolving, always evolving. So from there, we are going to find much more things that we now think that they are not possible, but then in the future, I think that will be for them, like we are thinking now about those books in the 50s, like, how could nobody know about it? And then maybe in 10 years' time, we'll be saying the same thing, like how can they in the 2020 not know about it, So, yeah.
Okay, my dear beloved friends, thank you very much. Our time is up. As a ghost behind me here. And I want to say thank you all for being here with us today. It's a pleasure. We do have people like from Peru to Sweden, and I want to say it's great to have you here today. Thank you very much. And next Thursday we'll be back with the topic heaven or hell. Okay, so is the next topic heaven or hell? We will see. We will schedule time here on the Facebook and YouTube. So bear with us, and thank you very much. If anyone wants to say our final words, please say so. Otherwise, we can wrap up here.
Thank you very much for your attention, and hope you enjoy it.
Thank you so much. We welcome your feedback and see you soon.
Thank you. Bye. See you.
Bye. Bye. Have a good night. Bye.